Hignett corner, beyond Bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, flips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises! It just had to be! Dax corner and it goes, glance towards goal! And Rovers have taken the lead! And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season. It may well be the goal that sends Rovers back into the Championship.
Good afternoon, Rovers fans, and welcome to our pre-match live stream as we preview the game against Birmingham City this afternoon. As Dizzy Thumbs and Callum Robinson have picked up a little bit later starting today, but with the snow ploughing its way down over the UK at the moment, just a few technical issues that we had to resolve. But don't worry, we'll still go for the full hour. We'll finish at 2:30 rather than 2:15 instead. But you're absolutely right. A bit of a slow start this morning, Dizzy and Callum. As ever, please do interact with us this afternoon as we preview the game. We'll do the live team news reaction as we usually do. So please do hit us with your kind comments and everything as you usually do. We love interacting with you on match day. As you can see, I am joined by Joe from Rovers Analytics again. How are you, Joe?
Yeah, not so bad. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Happy New Year to you.
Oh, thank you very much. And to you.
And Luke, Happy New Year to you, mate. How are you doing?
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all of our lovely viewers as well. I'm sure that it'll be a big one today because everyone's snowed in, so they'll just be watching us on here. Fantastic.
I didn't realise quite how much everyone was waiting for us. So, Andy Watson, I think that was a bit unnecessary, calling us out like that. But hey-ho, we'll have some fun. And El Scotty, hello to you, mate, and well done on your competition win earlier on this week. Rovers fans, as ever, please do interact, as I say. Please follow us on Twitter. We are Rovers_chat on Twitter. And please hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, which is Rovers Chat, and you will stay up to date with all of our very latest content. But before we start, just a little reminder that we are sponsored by 6yardsout.com.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.
Thank you to 6yardsout.com for their sponsorship as ever. I love the fact that these streams are international because you couldn't see two brilliant comments in here. So we've got John Browning, who's got a lovely night in Brisbane, Queensland. And then Kevin Bradshaw, who's snowed in. That's an understatement here in Darwin. So love that. Absolutely love the northern and southern hemisphere differences there. So that's great. So let's kick on with the stream then, guys. Joe, I'm going to come to you first because you were with me before the Luton game, the pre-match stream where we spoke about this 12-game block. And this is the final game in the 12-game block that we've had between November and December. I think the unanimous verdict at that point before the Luton game was about 24 points is what everyone wanted. And then we slightly revised that down before the Stoke game, I think it was. And we said we'd be happy with 21, 20 points. We have only got 15 points from the 11 games played so far. So the maximum we can now get is 18 from the 12 games if we were to beat Birmingham today. How are you feeling after this little block of 12 games and where Rovers are at?
Well, it's not been amazing, hasn't it? So probably not particularly confident and not particularly positive. But I suppose really that a lot of teams have these kind of periods where they struggle. We've got to win today. I think Michael Pearson said their must-win category, surely. And I would agree with that. I think we've got to get a result against a side that really struggle at home. And sorry to Jacob if he's watching, but Birmingham, not having a good year, not playing attractive football, struggling big time. We've got to go and win the game. I think it's going to be a really interesting one. But yeah, that kind of 12-game period that we talked about, I think it's been a bit of a letdown. But there'll be a 12-game period where we play really well. So yeah, look, I don't think it would be right to say that we played really well, because you only play well if you're winning games. But I do think that there have been some positives. I don't think it's all bad. I do think that the football we're playing is creating more than enough chances for us to win football games. I just think over this 12-game period, individuals started to decrease in their output, and confidence is low at the minute. So we need a bit of a rejuvenation today. And obviously the breaking news coming in is that Dan Pike and Hayden Carter have travelled, which I think is a good thing. I think some young and fresh ideas, much like Dolan and, thinking back even earlier than that, like your Travises and your Nyambes, I think it does kind of provide that competition and boost. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, even if we manage to get the win today, 18 points probably isn't great for what we expected. And 15 points certainly isn't great.
No, it's not. And Ryan Lambert, we will revisit your comment later on in the show. It's not just Mowbray's record at St Andrews. It's actually Blackburn Rovers' record at St Andrews is not great. So we will touch on that in the second half of the show. So, Luke, we've spoken about Rovers. We are a side that love a run. And even in this 12-game block, it's been a game of two halves in many senses. So we had 3 wins in a row in November when we look at the results: Preston, Barnsley, Millwall. And we had 3 wins in 5 and unbeaten at that. But then you flip into the second half of the 12-game block. It's just 1 win in 7, including 4 defeats in the last 6. How are you viewing this 12-game block and just how we flipped the form even within the 12-game block?
I've done exactly the same as you actually with that 12-game block, and I broke it down. So first 6 we've got 11 points from 18, and then obviously the next 5 with the 6 to come today, we've got 4 from 15. So it just shows really, like you said there, momentum run of games. It really sort of fell off the wagon, because if we go back 3 games ago, we had that win against Rotherham. And that really, I'd say, was on the back of 2 of our better performances of this season against 2 good sides, really, in Bristol City and Norwich. It's a difficult one because we've made comments, obviously, about the consistency, about our back 4, back 5 across the season, not particularly just this 12-game block. And if you look at them, our big 2 performances, I'd say, against Bristol City and Norwich, where unfortunately we didn't come away with anything. We were playing there with Derek Williams, and we actually looked really good. I think that having that consistent back 4 and having some confidence in the back 4 breeds confidence further up the pitch, and that's exactly what Joe's saying about some of our individuals now aren't performing as such. And I think it's just a lack of confidence in the back 4. And it's it's not criticism as such, but it's an obvious thing that we can see now that we do have a mistake in us. And unfortunately, if you're making a mistake as a defensive player, there's the real possibility then that it's going to turn into a goal. So I think that's where we've come a little bit unstuck, particularly in the latter games. where we just haven't really seen from game to game across the last 5-6 games a back four that's been consistent. It's, chopping and changing through no fault of Mowbray's and, no fault of anyone's really. There's no real reason for it. No one's been, particularly getting needless red cards, suspensions, anything like that. It's just been, a sign of the times. A lot of games, COVID kicking in as well, and injuries. It's just really unfortunate. But it's, you can't keep making excuses, because at the end of the day, points mean prizes in this game. It's simple as that.
And Callum Robinson's comment here, 24 points is the new 10 million. So I think 24 at the time, when I suggested it before the stream, seemed like if we wanted to stay in touch with the playoffs, that seemed like a reasonable points total. And actually, let's say we do beat Birmingham today, let's say we get to 18 points. Those extra 6 points to get us up to 24 points over the 12 games would actually have us a lot closer to the playoffs. So I guess this relates back to perspective, doesn't it, Joe? So if you think that this Rovers side are going to make the playoffs, then yes, 24 points is what we should have been getting from this block as a minimum to keep in touch with the playoffs. But if, like yourself, you've been open about the fact you don't think we'll make playoffs, then actually a little less than 24 points and just hanging around that mid-table area is probably what this team deserves at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Tony's obviously touched on it, but you look at our defence and, if you're expecting a top 6 position, I can't really think of a realistic manager who would have this side with his current defensive issues anywhere near that top 6. Because some of the best managers at championship level, obviously, play defensive football and keep clean sheets. And unfortunately, we just don't have the defence to keep clean sheets, which is why it's been frustrating that individuals are missing chances, because we're creating more than enough opportunities to win games. We are creating goal-scoring chances for the likes of Adam Armstrong, but they're not going in. We need to be winning games 3-2, 4-3, because we can't keep them out. And if we're not scoring, then, we're going to keep losing. So it's one of those things, like I say, it is perspective. I didn't really think that we were going to get promoted. I don't think we solved enough of the defensive issues in the transfer window. And I still don't think that we'll get promoted now, obviously. So as long as you haven't got your hopes up, then I guess there's nothing to worry about.
Indeed. And you've segued nicely into the next question, which I'm going to ask to you, Luke. So, it feels like we're in a pivotal part of the season now, and it certainly featured in the post-match stream after the Huddersfield game and with everyone's disappointment with the result at that point. Just a couple of comments I'm going to bring in first. Andy Watson spent the night closely watching that Huddersfield game last night. Defo not doom and gloom, silly mistakes made, but not a bad performance. All chances still made. And then Stephen Mason, we need a left back in this January window. So whether you think we need a left back or not, January does feel like a pivotal month. We've got the opportunity now. If we get the Birmingham game out of the way now, would you be sacrificing the FA Cup just to have 2 weeks on the training pitch, Mowbray getting back behind the squad, trying to just address some of these defensive frailties with the people that he's got available? What would you be doing in the next 2 weeks?
I mean, yes, I'm a Blackburn Rovers fan, but I'm also a football fan, and there's that little magic, isn't there, in the FA Cup? And a lot of people comment on how the magic's been lost a little bit. So going down the route of throwing the game as such is, it's extreme, but yeah, I agree. I think we probably should. Given the intensity of this season, the run of games, the lack of opportunity for rest, realistically, Blackburn Rovers aren't going to win the FA Cup. Yes, it's always nice to get that little bit of a financial output out of the FA Cup and get something back. But realistically, we're not going to have a massive run. And unfortunately, at the moment, we haven't got the squad to really rotate things a great deal. So I think Mowbray's going to be looking at that game, and in all honesty, he's either got to overrule his order with that one, and we've got to look at resting players. Yeah, okay, if we get through it, great. But I don't think now we've got the squad depth to rest players and have a strong enough squad to give that game a real go. So I think if he does go down the route of resting players, ultimately Doncaster, if they put out a decent side, they'll have enough to get past us. They're not a bad side at that level, and they'll be up for it. It's an FA Cup game, and anyone can win on the day in the FA Cup. It's we've seen that over years and years. So yeah, I think it'd be a wise move to rest players and hope that we don't go the distance, and then have the opportunity to have a few weekends off here and there, recuperate, recover, and hopefully then we won't be seeing the level of injuries that we have been seeing, and ultimately it's hampering our season. So absolutely, there's that opportunity to do that. I think it's wise.
And Joe, certainly as a fan, and picking up all the comments that we've had over the last few weeks, and the frustrations that everyone's got, it feels like as a club in its entirety, we're falling into January a little bit. With some of the injuries that we've had, and the frustrations that we've had, and some of the bodies that we've had missing. What would you be doing in that Doncaster game? Would you just see it as a chance for a 2-week break on that training pitch? Maybe get the likes of Butterworth, Davenport, Buckley into that Doncaster side and rest all of the players before the Doncaster game, ready to hit the first game back on the 16th of January?
Well, I wouldn't have Dan Butterworth in there because he's got COVID, but but yeah, no, I think I see it as a game where Bradley Dack should start. A good chance for him to start a game with relatively less pressure and more of an environment that he's suited to anyway. But yeah, I see it as an opportunity to rest players like Nyambe. Obviously, I don't think his injury is more long term, so I don't think there's any need to rush him back. So I can see a Dan Pike or a John Buckley playing there. Jacob Davenport, Tyrese Dolan, more the fringe players rather than the under-23s team itself. I don't think that we should be playing Sturgiakis and Thompson and Grayson and all of the under-23s players, because I think a nice cup run might be good for us. But I'd like to see some of those fringe players get a go. I think if he's going to be more of not a bit part, I think he has played here and there, but he's not played as much recently. Tom Tribal can probably play and show a bit of Premier League class against a League One side. Ben Brereton, I don't think should not play because he's a player that needs to play consistently to find confidence. And again, Adam Armstrong, couple of goals, a brace against Doncaster could rejuvenate his individual form. So I wouldn't rest too many players. I think it's just about finding that right balance so that you're not risking any players that are at high risk.
And just to follow on with you then, Joe, Gaz's question here, would this be a good chance for the likes of Dan Pike and other youngsters that might not have made the step up yet? Would you be bringing some of those in maybe?
Yeah, I think from some of the things I've heard about today, it might not be such a surprise if players like Dan Pike are involved today. Quite a few of the rumours suggest that there's going to be some shocks in the lineup. Whilst we don't know specifically what they are, it wouldn't shock me if a Dolan gets a game or a Davenport starts or a Dack or a Dan Pike. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I think we'll only really know what the best options are for that cup game after we see who plays and who gets through today, because Lord knows there'll probably be another injury to come out of this fixture.
Absolutely. Lewis Travis at St Andrews. So, there we go. That's me jazzing the comments there. So, Luke, just a really quick initial reaction. If Lewis Travis is at St Andrews, we spoke about the lift that Bradley Dack might be able to give this side. If he is there, how much of a lift is that going to be for the players if Travis is there today?
It's a huge lift just to have him in the dressing room. Obviously, he's not going to be starting that game. If we were going to sit here and be all romantic about it and say, yeah, he comes in, he starts, and Blackburn suddenly, a rejuvenated side overnight. That's not going to happen because he's not played any football whatsoever. He's not played for the under-23s yet. But just have him in and around the squad, what that'll bring, his fight. You can see what he is on the pitch and what he brings. And obviously, Mowbray spoke about that this week and having that bite from and that tenacity from Lewis Travis. So, as a person, he's going to bring that around the dressing room as well, and that's what we're lacking. I think everyone just needs a bit of a kick up the backside, really, and know what they're playing for at the end of the day. I think everyone's giving it 110 clearly, but it's just that extra bit of bite on the pitch that Lewis Travis brings. So hopefully he brings that on a psychological aspect as well. And fingers crossed he's back soon.
And Luke, I'll stick with you just for a comment we've had from Lee B here, which I'll use the comment just to maybe adapt the question slightly. So Lee's comment, not to try and single out Armour because he's been excellent for us, but don't you think the last few games we've missed chances due to a bit of greed/selfish shots? So I'm going to just add on to that, Luke. At championship level and with how tight this league is, it's such fine margins that we're dealing with. And, Andy referenced that he watched the Huddersfield game back. If you look at those highlights, first half, 2 huge chances for Armour, weren't there? The great save from Schofield. And then that second chance he had, the one that he stuck in the side netting, he should have done better with that. If he's second top goal scorer in the championship, they're the chances you have to put away. You ultimately get punished, don't you? It's fine margins we're talking.
Yeah, and I mean, and Adam Armstrong in the first 6 to 10 games of the season, maybe more, he's putting that away with his eyes closed, and that's confidence for you, and that's unfortunately being a top goal scorer. That is what happens. There's no doubt about it, and everyone goes through these periods, these spells where, as a goal scorer, you're not quite firing on all cylinders, and you're not scoring goals. And unfortunately, the longer that goes on, the harder it gets. And exactly what that comment said there. You do then end up getting selfish, taking on shots you're not perhaps taking on in them other games where you're being a little bit more patient and waiting for the right chance, so to speak. You end up, taking chances, maybe trying too hard. And I think we're seeing that from Armour. There's the effort's there, absolutely. There's no doubt in that, but I think he's trying that a little bit too hard. He doesn't need to do that. He's almost like a Matt Jansen was in the early 90s and late 90s, a real goal scorer with that cutting edge. And there's no doubt in his ability and his goal scoring, finesse. It's just at the moment when you're not scoring goals, nothing falls for you. And like Joe said, he needs a couple of goals, get himself back on his feet. He'll start scoring again, but the longer it goes on, the harder it's going to be for him.
That's it. And I think, what you've said there is reflected in the couple of comments we've had here from Alexander Haben. Armstrong seems to lack composure at times. So, yeah, when you're not scoring, that is certainly how it looks. Michael Pearson, all strikers need to be selfish, but realistically, Armstrong has been speculative a lot more recently. And I know that Joe and Andy have covered, the XG and where Armstrong's chances are coming from at the moment. That Huddersfield chance he stuck in the side netting is probably, if I think back, one of the only chances he's had in the box or in and around the 6-yard box recently, unless someone's going to correct me. So, that is definitely true. And then Ryan Lambert, if I can click on the comment here, there we go. Armstrong trying too hard to create his own chances. Hopefully Dak will take on that responsibility. Yeah, let's not kid ourselves. Armstrong has had an unbelievable year and he's only human and he's carried the side. So if Dak can come in and pick up some of that mantle and maybe take the focus off Armstrong, actually, all the headlines have been on Armour. If you've got Bradley Dak coming back in, Armour might be able to just sneak under the radar a little bit and then do that. So Joe is going to be doing the teams in the background for me on this one. So I hope this works. So Joe, who have we got first for our predicted lineups and who we think we might see in the side?
We'll start with you then, Ryan, and get yours done. Well, there's only 3 of us today. We'll get a little bit longer to talk, won't we?
We will. So I've done my side on the basis that I don't think Nyambe and Ayala will be fit today. With Nyambe's hamstring, I think it's just too much of a risk, and I don't want him risking it, particularly if we played a few days ago with that 2-week break that we've got coming up potentially as well, where we can get Nyambe rested up. Then I don't want him risked today. So I've gone John Buckley there. I must admit, I totally forgot Dan Pike actually. So Buckley or Pike, but I'll stick with John Buckley there just to carry on covering as he did so admirably against Brentford in a position that he's not familiar with. And then Bradley Johnson covering for Daniel Ayala. Let's face it, we've got no one else really available to cover at centre back apart from Hayden Carter, of course. But the thing I worry about is Lukas Jukovic. I could see Jukovic bullying Carter if it was Carter there. So I've gone for Johnson again, just to try and add a bit of steel there. However, we can't have what happened to us against Stoke. If we're playing Bradley Johnson at centre-back, we've got to be defensively organised and we can't be allowing the likes of Jukovic to get that march and get those headers in. Just a nod to my midfield, Joe. With losing Bradley Johnson from that central midfield area, I've gone for Jacob Davenport to add that bit of bite and that bit of steel that you lose with Bradley Johnson. Davenport does like a tackle. He can find a pass. and he can replicate some of those things that we lose with not having Bradley Johnson in midfield. So I've gone for Davenport, and then Tom Tribal, who was desperately unlucky against Huddersfield, just to come in and linchpin that midfield a little bit, and hopefully allow Rothwell to go and do what we want him to do up the pitch. So that's my side there. But Buckley is very much a square peg in a round hole, and if it is Dan Pike, I'd be absolutely satisfied with that.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'll bring mine up because Luke needs to go last so that I can bring up the actual lineup at the bottom. So get mine out of the way just because I know we're conscious of getting towards 2:00. I've gone for a slight formation change today. We've got major injury issues. When you haven't got the right amount of defenders, I think it was Wigan at home, 18-19, and Tyler McGlaw played, and we went to a back five, won 3-0. And Mowbray said after that game, when you haven't got the defenders that you want, you just need to play a few more of them. And I'm in the same boat, really. I think Hayden Carter's competent enough as a defender, but I think in a 4, he just gets leaves a little bit exposed. I've been unimpressed with Douglas and Bell, so I'd like to see Downing given a go, but I think in a wing-back row in a 5, Downing will thrive a lot more than he would in a 4. And then John Buckley, of course, spent a lot of time as a right wing-back with the youth team in a 5. I would be worried about him as a right-back in a 4, but as a right wing-back, I think he has a nice amount of freedom. And then that kind of leaves you with quite a lot of creativity up the top end of the pitch. So I think you can probably afford to get Elliott, Dack, Rothwell, Armstrong, Brereton all into the side if you're going for a more defensive formation. I don't think this is what we're going to see, but this is the kind of thing I would be looking to do today. Lenihan in the middle. Basically, your spare man in the middle in that 5 would be the one to mark Jukovic, or however you say his name. So Lenihan, his main job would be to man mark their big striker threat out of the game. Leaves a lot less pressure on Johnson and Carter to basically just act as sweepers, getting the ball downfield. Gives Downing and Buckley the freedom to move forward. And then because you're so solid at the back, Rothwell, Elliott, Dack, Armstrong, Brereton, I wouldn't even begin to tell you what positions they were playing in. They can just kind of roam around and do what they need to do. Elliott can come off the right, he can play through the middle. Rothwell can kind of push forward and get into the box as well without having to worry too much. And less pressure on those defenders. So that's how I would go with it. And I'm glad that some people seem to like that one. So I'm happy with that.
I was just bringing up those comments as you were talking there, Joe. So I like the side as well. But like FM Works has commented there, I think Mowbray's going to stick to his 4-3-3, isn't it? But I think that looks a great side, what you've picked there, absolutely.
Awesome. Right then, Luke.
Smashing. Joe, you're working towards your UEFA because
no, I'm still on my level 1, level 2 next.
I mean, alluding to what Joe was saying there about the defensive frailties of Buckley, so to speak, in that he's more of a wing back than a full back. So I was really then worried about the right back position today. Again, like you said, Ryan, wouldn't want to risk Nyambi in this one. But for me, I just sort of put Downing there because I think defensively Downing can do a job. Yes, I'd like to have him at left back, and I've been crying out for that for quite a few streams now, trying Downing at the left back position. But with Nyambi not fit, I just thought, get Downing in there. Again, like you, Ryan, I forgot about Dan Pike. I've got all my hands up. I've watched a lot of 23s up until the last couple of months, perhaps. So I don't know enough about Dan Pike to stick him in there and have the confidence. But if Dan Pike was to play there today and have that, that youthful approach and that no fear approach, let's say, that'd be great. I wouldn't be disheartened with that at all. Again, Johnson, just on the basis that AL was not fit, really, really light, really thin on the centre halves. And just Bell to stick with a bit of consistency again and hope that if Bell gets a run of games, we get a bit of form from him. I think with Tribal, we've got that tenacity, we've got that bite, we've got a player that happy to put a tackle in. I think when you see Tribal have one of his better games for us, which he's had a couple of decent games, he covers a lot of ground. So I think we can afford to have the one, more defensive-minded midfielder, and then allow Rothwell to break from deep and Dack to have a bit of freedom, let him get on the ball and let him play a bit, and then have the creativity to provide this front three with some opportunities. I think Dack's got to start today, regardless of how fit he is. If you can't get a full game from him, he's got to come from the start. If he's only got 45 minutes an hour, he's got to play the first 45 minutes an hour for me, because we cannot afford to start slow here. I know a lot of people talk about new year, new starts, but for us, if we want to hit the ground running this calendar year and this second half of the season, it's got to start today. And we've got the front three now fit that are our preferred front three, and there's goals in them three when they're on firing on all cylinders. So, fingers crossed. I think we're light at the back. So I mean, what's going to be is going to be today. And if the front six are firing, then great. Because really, like I say, we've just got to accept what it is at the back today. It's going to have to make do with what we've got.
That's right. The thing that I've absolutely taken from the reaction to these teams, the love for Joe's formation and the change of formation there suggests to me that maybe we're all frustrated that Mowbray is sticking to this 4-3-3 and not trying different things or trying to tackle the issues that he's got, which I think, Joe, that's why we've got so much love for that five at the back, because it is trying to address those issues that we've had. The comments absolutely flooded in there to the point where, you're being lined up for the main job here, Joe. Hope Shebby Singh ain't watching. He'll be on the phone to Mrs. Desai to tap Joe up. So Shebby, if you are watching, Joe's actually part of our live stream, so you're not having him. So hands
Channel
off.
4, when you tried that.
Poison challenge. I don't want it. It's never going to end well.
It's just Steve King with her.
That's it. And, I think Sean Blades has made the comment here. The 4-3-3 has been sussed. It's shown in the past few games. And certainly when I spoke to the Birmingham fan last night, the thing that Karanka has been doing in an attempt to try and get Birmingham some form is try and change their formation around a little bit. And I think you just want to see Mowbray maybe change that up a little bit. And I'm going to keep waffling until Joe scrolls this team along the bottom. I'm going to keep waffling and learn of my shock and horror.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Crikey. How am I going to do this? I can't concentrate now. Crikey. Wow. Okie dokie. Let me give this a go.
Well, that's exactly what I said, thrown out the window.
Here we go. Well, I can see from the comments, Lewis Travis starts the game. And El Scotty, you've snuck. Hey? Over Dak,
No Dak, but Travis. It's wow. It says a lot about what we need in that midfield, I guess.
So, Luke, instant reaction. Joe's just going to run the ticker. I'll just read out the team because Tim Young has helped me out in the comments as well. So, Luke, talk to us about Lewis Travis for a start. Then, tell us your instant reaction to him starting.
Well, I mean, I can't go back on what I said just earlier in the stream. I wouldn't have thought he was fit. He hasn't played any football. He's not playing for the 23s. I don't know what they've been doing behind closed doors as such, but he must have come out to Mowbray and he must say, I'm fit. I'm ready to go. You've said what you need. Put me in. I'm going to get, I'm going to take Rovers to 3 points today. I'm going to drive us through. I can't see him playing a full game, but perhaps he's going to be pulling strings for the first half, get us off to a fast start and go from there. But all said and done, he must be fit and he must be ready to play this game, because I'm sure Mowbray's not going to risk a player like Travis having been out for 2-3 months now. So yeah, big news. And I think that, as you can see from the comments, a lot of Rovers fans are excited about this. It's we've got Travis back, great.
So without me being the party pooper too much, because I've actually seen the comments and it's now just crystallized in my head. Douglas and Bell are both playing, and Ollie James has picked up here Travis at right back then. And then Lee B also right back. Joe, is that where we're going to see Lewis Travis at right back, do you think?
It can go one of two ways. It wouldn't shock me if it's a back five and Douglas kind of slots in a left centre-back role and Bell to the left of him. But it also wouldn't shock me if Bell plays a bit further forward. He's played in that position as well. And it also wouldn't shock me if Douglas just played at right back.
Yeah.
Not a lot's going to shock me. I think it could go either way, really. Either, Douglas is out of position or Bell's out of position. Or, of course, Johnson isn't in the defence at all. And they put Douglas at centre-back and it's still a back four. Who knows? But I'm going to be honest, outside of the great news of Travis being involved, it's not a great side, is it? It's difficult that we're in this situation. That defence is just, that's the bottom six defence, really. Obviously, strong goalkeeping department, and Lenihan's obviously, pretty good in this division. But Douglas and Bell have both been struggling recently, and they're both in the team. Johnson isn't a centre back. We could see absolutely anything today, and obviously, yeah, we're going to have to see. But Gallagher, Brereton, Armstrong, and Elliott all on the pitch suggests that Elliott's going to be more central than out on the wing. Don't know how I feel about that either. So this could be a 5, it could be a 4, it could be the 4-3-3, it could be the box. Not a clue.
No, we're going to have to try and get some insight on this because, for example, if it is a 4-3-3, this could be a double pivot that you've got with Travis and Davenport holding, allowing Elliott just to have that free roll behind the front three. But as you say, Joe, it could easily be 5 at the back where you've got Belmore as a wing back, Travis as a right wing back. So yeah. I think we're going to have to wait and see how that side lines up when the whistle goes. But that is interesting. And, well, brilliant news that we've got Lewis Travis back. So just to confirm the team for everyone that hasn't seen it, it is Thomas Kaminski in goal. Douglas, Lenihan, Johnson, Bell, who I'm just going to read 4 names out because I don't know where they're playing apart from Lenihan. Travis, Davenport, Elliott, Brereton, Gallagher, Armstrong. The subs are Pears, Carter, Pike, Tribal, Downing, Dack, Buckley, Rothwell and Dolan. So Luke, couple of other interesting nuggets in there. So Nyambi and Ayala haven't made it. So they've not been risked as we suspected. And Joe Rothwell going on to the bench. So what's your thoughts about both of those bits of team news?
Yeah, the initial excitement has made me completely overlook that there's no Rothwell on the starting 11. So it's that's interesting. He's been one of our most consistent performers in recent games and a player that we've been speaking about. How do we leave him out when Dak's back? Seeing Dak and Rothwell on the bench, we've actually got a really strong bench for a change today. We've got Downing, Dak, Rothwell, Dolan, and even Buckley that can come on and perhaps on the day all change the game. So that's exciting for me. I'm glad that Ayala and Nambi haven't been risked. You only need to look at that team to see how thin we are defensively, like all 3 of us have spoke about today. We can't go risking defensive players if it means that perhaps we lose a few points along the way. Great, but we can't be throwing players straight back in there to risk then having them out for long periods because we just haven't got the depth to do that. Like you said, who knows where anyone's going to play here? We could have Douglas at centre half and Travis at right back and Johnson in midfield. We could have Douglas at right back like Rich Sharp's alluded to. You could have a back 5. I think Mowbray's basically just playing with what he's got, and he must have spent a little bit of time on the training field this week thinking, how on earth do I work with what I've got here? So there's a plan, and at the end of the day, we can't look at Mowbray and say anything's been done wrong here because we're light. He's working with what he's got. It's absolutely. Like Joe said, it's not a back 4, back 5 that we'd ever pick when we've got a full strength side. And I think further up the field, it's supporting that argument as well by having Davenport and Travis in there because it's just covering and protecting that back 4 a little bit.
Yeah, and Joe, I'm going to bring you in. Ryan Lambert's made the comment here. Gallagher starting sensible could be valuable on set pieces, both attack and defence. So no Ayala. That's one player who's, that we're losing from the set pieces. Lewis Travis, I think I'm right in saying, isn't really renowned for his aerial ability. And I don't think Jacob Davenport is either. And then you've got small players in the likes of Elliott and Armstrong and Amari Bell isn't the greatest in the air. So Gallagher starting, with Birmingham needing to go direct at times, some of the set pieces that they might try and win in and around our box, the corners that they might get, Gallagher could be a sensible inclusion today, couldn't he?
Not for me. I think Adam Armstrong wins more headers than Sam Gallagher, personally. He can't win a header. He's 6'4" and he can't head a football. For me, anyway. He really can't. Adam Armstrong has got a better hold-up play than him. That's my frustration with Sam, is he's so big and he's got so much strength and so much height, but I just don't see it often enough. So I wouldn't have started him. I don't think he's effective on that right-hand side either. If he plays through the middle, maybe, but he won't play there. So, yeah, I have a lot of frustrations with Gallagher starting in this team. I think he's most effective when he comes off the bench, a la, the Luton goal this season and a few others. He's a good impact player because he does have legs and he will run. But for me, Gallagher, it's summed up by his game when we played Birmingham in the Cup last year. And that kind of open net sitter that all three strikers managed to miss as they all hit the ball at each other. And I agree with Michael Pearson, 6'4" and jumps like 5 foot, in my opinion. I don't actually think much aerial ability at all. Johnson is 5'10" and wins a hell of a lot more headers for me.
There you go. Gallagher to bag a header today. Put your house on it, Joe.
No,
maybe you should. No, you said that.
Absolutely fine. If he wants to go and bag a hat-trick Rudiger Stead style, then he's more than welcome.
So just to bring everyone the Birmingham side, when I spoke on the other side to the Birmingham fan last night, they suggested, it would be Jukovic up top in place of Scott Hogan, and that is the way that they've gone. They've got some cracking names for me to attempt to try and read now. Etheridge in goal, Dakras Cogley, San Jose, Clark Salter, Friend, Sunjic, Kifton Beld, McCree, Sanchez, Lecco, and Jukovic. And then some good... That bench looks strong for Birmingham today. They've got Scott Hogan, John Terrell, Adam Clayton, Harley Dean, Bella, who scored the winner against us last year in the FA Cup. So they've got a strong bench and could possibly change it up as much as we can as well. So, yeah, Birmingham also going for it today and a strong side. And now we've done the instant team news reaction, we will start to change our focus on to the game itself then. We've reacted to the side. We know what type of game we're going to get against Birmingham today. So I'm just going to read some stats out. And I was quite shocked when I was doing my research from the other side last night, Luke. I knew our record at St Andrews was bad. If I reflect on the years I've been at St Andrews watching Rovers games and whatever, I didn't realise how bad it was, though. We've only got one win in 14 visits to St Andrews. And that was the 4-2 game when Gestead got a hat-trick. And against the fixture, across the fixture as a whole, home and away, it's only one win in 10. And that was a win in 2016, 2-0 at home. We just don't like playing against Birmingham, do we? And with some of the variables we've spoken about today defensively, it's going to be a tough old game for us, isn't it?
Yeah, like you said, it's 6 years, I think, since we've beat them. I think we beat them twice in that calendar year of 2014. When we beat them away and then a 1-0 at home, and there's only one survivor actually from that team in our squad now, of Corey Evans, who again one of our injured players unfortunately. But I mean, I've looked at Birmingham and they're actually such a similar size to us in some respects. Their last 5 games, from each of the last 5 games, there's not one game across them 5 games that they've even got the same back 5 at all. And against Watford, I think they actually played with a back 3/back 5 with wing backs. They've not won in 13 games. So yeah, them games there against Watford, I think it was they played with perhaps a back 5, whichever way you look at it. They concede a lot of goals. No win in 13 for them. They've got a bit of a discipline issue as well. They've had 3 reds in as many months. And I think the defensive reshuffle is something that we can perhaps take some kind of positivity from, a bit of a opportunity there to get at them. Harley Dean on the bench today, who's usually quite an ever reliable for them, and another one of those players that have come through the sort of Brentford system of signing players or building players up and selling them on for a little bit of cash. And he's one player that succeeded at Brentford and now has been a mainstay for Birmingham, which I think perhaps is the captain. So it's strange to see him on the bench. I just think, they're a side that they're looking for form themselves. There's a lot going wrong off the field. I managed to just get a couple of minutes. I didn't see the whole on the other side last night, but certainly that Birmingham fan seemed to be a little bit alarmed of everything that's going on off the pitch, which is surprising given Artur Karanka and his proven track record at this level with Borough. Let's say to be without a win in 13 is a bit worrying. Haven't won since I think the back end of October. But like you said as well, Ryan, they've got some good players, proven goal scorers in Duke and Horgan. I know Horgan's not been firing too well since again another Brentford one, weren't he? I think he was scoring quite freely for Brentford, and then since his big moves to Villa and stuff, he's not really hit it off. But proven Championship players in your George French, Adam Clayton, Etheridge. And then some young talent in there as well. Clark Salter, like you said, starting. Leco's a talented little player. So they've got a decent squad when you look at it. So it's just a bit alarming to see they haven't won in 13. So I'm hoping we can maybe take advantage of that, and it's a good time to play a side that are really low on confidence when that's clearly something that our Blackburn Rovers side are at the moment as well. So. Like Joe's mentioned, this game could go anywhere, and we don't really know what we're going to expect from Rovers, and certainly we don't know what to expect from Birmingham, because anything can happen today, I think.
Yeah, and Joe, I'm going to come to you, and you can give the credit where it's needed for these overlays that we've got when you start talking in a moment. But Luke's referenced it there, actually. When I spoke to the Birmingham fan yesterday, their home form over the last 3 or 4 years actually has been pretty poor. I can't remember how many games he referenced, 80 odd, I think he said, and it's a very low number of wins. And the Birmingham fan, James, couldn't put his finger on why it's not clicking for Birmingham at the moment, because they sold Bellingham in the summer, reinvested into their squad. They've got a good manager in Karanka, and they can't quite put their finger on why it's not clicking and why they're not getting the results. And if we look at their last 2 home games, which you'll see on this overlay that we've got here, they lost 4-0 at home to Derby last time out, and then 4-1 to Middlesbrough the game before that. And they've actually lost the last 4 home games as well. With that historical run that Birmingham City have got against Rovers, the 1 win in 14, with them knowing that we've got defensive issues and we are out of form ourselves, do you think that Birmingham would be targeting this game to get back on track and saying, right, let's get Rovers whilst they're down a little bit?
Yeah, I suppose in mentality, but I don't think we'll see it in terms of the football they play. They'll sit back behind the ball. And that's kind of the conversations we've had with a few Birmingham fans, and obviously Blues Breakdown, where that graphic's from. I've had a good chat with him, and yeah, they'll sit behind the ball and try and get a set piece goal or hit us on the counter and hope that Bella can maybe do a bit of something, but they're low on confidence. And even though I think they will see it as a game where they could hurt us, I don't see them pushing forward much. I don't see them pressing us. I see us having 70% possession in this game, which, as I've already discussed before and everybody knows, it's not something that I think we want, because I think we struggle when we've got so much possession.
Yeah, and I'm just going to bring up this this other overlay, Joe, and stick with you if I can. Is there anything about these goal times in particular, either scored or conceded, that concerned you today about the game?
No, I mean, not at all, because I think they've only scored 17 goals all season. They haven't got a player on 3 goals. They don't threaten me in terms of pushing forward. I don't think it's a game that I'm scared we'll lose. It's more a game that I'm scared we'll have complete dominance over and not manage to get a goal. If we score within the first 20 minutes, it's basically game over, in my opinion. They've shipped a lot of goals this season, and they are struggling to score their own goals. I think we can definitely win this game early with a first half goal, but it's getting that goal, and it could very well end 0-0.
And looking at the attack zones, just hopefully people can see it. It does look like they try and get down the sides a little bit. And the other thing I'm picking up, they have conceded 41% of their 27 goals conceded in that final 15 minutes where we know Rovers are strong. So like the Huddersfield game, Luke, you know, let's say it is 0-0 or 1-1 or something like that, you know, there's an opportunity for us there, isn't there, in the last 15 minutes if we do need to go and nick it and grab it. It looks like there could be a little soft core for us to go and exploit Birmingham there, looking at those stats.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we're looking at the bench and we've got the likes of Dak and Rothwell and Dolan all on the bench, they're players that can really frighten teams, even the best of sides, in the in the final third of a game when a team's tiring. What better option to have than bringing those guys off the bench and exploiting that quite alarming stat really for Birmingham City as a club and the fan base. So yeah, I mean, great that we can potentially exploit that, but like Joe says, we've got to get an early goal, or again, this is one of them games that could really drag on and could really frustrate us. And if we get that early goal, like I said, I think they've conceded, is it 11 in the last 4 games? They've only not conceded against Forest, I think it was. So there's an opportunity there to breed a bit of confidence back into this side, go into it, get a few goals, hopefully get Army on the score sheet and kick on really from it. It's like Joe said, it's not a game that we should expect to lose, or certainly we shouldn't be losing a game like this. Not with the form that they're in, and the real lack of confidence that's throughout that Birmingham side. It's a game that we should hopefully use as a stepping stone to kick on now for the second half of this season.
And Joe, with the likes of Joe Rothwell in particular on the bench, do you think we've got the personnel today to go and get the early goal in the way that we might want to go? And, like we saw against Brentford, Rothwell's goal in particular, actually just going for Birmingham today. Do you think we're going to see that? Or do you think it's going to be containment first with the likes of Davenport and Rothwell, maybe get to half-time level or something like that? Then you're unleashing the likes of Dak, Rothwell, Dolan. How do you see the approach going? Do you think we can get that early goal?
I don't think they'll go that way today, because I do think that they know full well that we're going to have all the ball. So I think it'll more be, I think we'll be peppering that box quite early, but it's just one of them. We're going to have 70% of the possession basically if everything goes the way that we expect it to. So I would imagine that, it'd probably be more like Brentford than any of the others. It's a really weird one because it's hard to call because I don't know what formation they're going to go with. If it's the 4-2-2, it might be really attacking from the off, but it might be 5 at the back or something. And it's really hard to predict because I don't have a clue where that lineup's going to go. And I think after about 5 minutes, we'll know what's happening.
Luke, can you still hear me? Yeah. Sorry, my connection went a bit crazy. I was going to ask you something. Sorry, that was my fault at my end. So one thing that we have spoken about when we've spoken about Sam Gallagher coming on and offering a plan B, we have got that in the locker today, haven't we? If we do need to, Rothwell and Dolan in particular, if we need to go at Birmingham a little bit, we've got those players that can come on and either, get us the win or equalise, or however the game's going, get the winner. We can change it up today, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Dolan is, I think he's not been spoke about enough because he's such a young player and he's still really a relative unknown entity for us as a club and for, any opponent. But he's got so much in his locker. He's fearless. He'll run at players. So I think Dolan is as exciting as any one of them three to bring off the bench and run at tired legs. Goes without saying that the magic that he brings, the pure intelligence of him as a footballer to just carve something open and make something happen, and Rothwell just to drive, but in a different sense, not through pure pace as such, but close control and the ability to just beat several men and walk through the middle of a pitch rather than drive at space. So 3 very different players that can unlock any team in any different way. So depending on how the game's going, absolutely there's areas in the pitch to exploit, and we've got the players to exploit them specific areas on a football field. So it's exciting to have a bench like that when we've been so thin. Really, I actually think that we've got more options off the bench than on the field of play from the start today. So it's exciting if we can get a goal and stabilise for the early part, and then finish the game off later on.
So Rovers fans, we'll end the stream in a few minutes or so. So now you've seen the team, let us know what your score prediction is, and we'll run through those before we finish. And I'll come to you, Joe, first in a moment for your prediction, and then to you, Luke. But I'm like you, Joe. I'm absolutely intrigued by how this side is going to line up today. I just don't know how it is going to line up. And if I think about, Douglas or Bell at right back, or Travis at right back, or the different formations that we might play, I need to see how that side ultimately lines up to see how confident I am actually within the game. But, regardless of the team today, I was actually quite anxious about this game just because of our record at St Andrews. And we hate this fixture. And I think Birmingham always look at this fixture and see Rovers as a team that they can exploit. And I'm not changing that view. So I'll do my prediction in a moment. But Joe, what's your score prediction?
God. For all those things we talked about, it's so hard to say today, isn't it? I think I'll go 2-0 Rovers.
2-0 Rovers. Good prediction from Joe there. Luke, what's your prediction?
I'd like to see us get a clean sheet today, and I've been confident in the past of clean sheets, but today I really, really can't see it. I think there's goals in our side, so I think we will get a few goals today, but I absolutely think we'll concede. And I'm in agreement with a couple of them scores on there. I think we'll take this one 3-1.
3-1 from Luke. On the other side last night, I said a draw because it just had a feel of a game where we're falling into January and we just can't wait to get past this and get back on the training pitch and things like that. Now I've seen the side and the options that we've got, in particular bringing on someone like Rothwell when that game's progressed a little bit, maybe after half-time or whatever. I think he could come on and change things up a little bit for us, and obviously Bradley Dack as well. So I'm going to go a bit more positive, and I'm going to go 2-1 Rovers, actually. And I think it'll be a performance that might just surprise us or make us a bit proud. Maybe a bit like that Brentford performance where you can just look at it and go, actually, do you know what? With what's available today, we can be proud of the team. And I think we might get a bit of that. And whether Lewis Travis is the catalyst or whatever, that's how I'm feeling. So I'm going to say 2-1 Rovers. I've changed overnight, and now I've seen the team and how it might go. And that Birmingham nervousness that they've got at their end about their home form and playing us, they're obviously seeing it every week and seeing a side that's not in form. So, yeah, I'm going to stay positive. 2-1 Rovers is what I'm saying. So I'm going to run through all these comments before we finish the stream. So, Lee B, you are first. You've gone 3-1 Rovers. Jack Hamer has gone 1-1. FM Works has gone 2-0. Ryan Lambert, 0-0 ball draw. Downing must be wondering how he's not managed to get a start here today. Alexander Haben, 3-1 Rovers. Sam BRFC Brown, 2-0. John Browning, 2-0. Michael Pearson went for 1-0 Rovers last night. The all or nothing selection changes things, 3-1 Rovers. That's how I've viewed it, Michael. I've just changed with how I think the game's going to go now. 3-1 Rovers from Stand and Stare, 3-1 Rovers from El Scotty, 2-0 Rovers, Brereton, Dack off the bench from Sean Blades when it decides to show. There we go. Yes, Kevin Bradshaw, you did do that last night. You came off the jinxing glasses. You've gone 3-1 Rovers as well. Tim Young, 4-0. So we've had a 4-0 at St Andrews already this season. So is history going to repeat itself there? And Gaz Israel is going the same, winning 4-0 as well. Stand and Stare's gone for Davenport to score another. Dan Woods has gone for a 7-2 prediction. Now, that would just be crazy. Yaz and Tim are drinking the same amount of alcohol, it seems. RJC, which could be a play on words. Is that you, Joe, ranking Costello in stealth? But you've gone 3-0 Rovers. Ollie James, 4 Kaminsky man of the match. You said that last night as well, didn't you, Ollie? And then, yeah, Lee, 7-2. So a lot of predictions there. Thank you, everyone. And a lot of positivity. And it's a panel that's all predicted a win. It's the majority of comments have predicted a win as well. So, yeah. I think we're feeling confident. Let's hope we can just get the job done, and it's a performance that we can be proud of. So Joe and Luke, we will end the stream there. Thanks for joining us again this afternoon. You're back on post-stream duties later, aren't you?
Yeah. Hopefully it's a positive post-stream with lots of goals to talk about Rovers way, let's say.
That's it. Well, I'm very grateful for the three of us being a bit like an Elliot, Brereton, Armstrong trio in attack today on the pre-match live stream. But we will be back to a quadruple showing on the post-stream. We've got Jonathan back with the three of us later as well. So it will be four of us. So as ever, Rovers fans, please do join us at about 5:15. We'll get the stream up and running. And then Michael Pearson is just pointing out 3-1 Rovers is 16-1 for anyone that does fancy a little New Year's Day flutter. So thanks, Rovers fans. Please do follow us on Twitter. It is Rovers_chat on Twitter. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Rovers Chat, and you can stay up to date with all of our content. And if you did still want to donate to the Salvation Army fundraiser that we have had going in recent weeks, the prizes have now been dished out, but it's always a worthy cause to donate to. So rcdonate.com. We've raised over £750 so far, which we're absolutely buzzing about. So yeah, thank you to everyone that's done that. Sean, I didn't realise it was your first time, Sean. First time here, enjoyed the stream. We love doing them, so we love interacting with everyone, and particularly for me, whilst I can't get to the games, this is the way that I get my Rovers fix at the moment. So absolutely love that. So we will leave you when I can find it. This is the perils of hosting and having to do everything. I will leave you with the sponsor message from 6yardsout.com. Thanks, everyone, and enjoy the game. See you later.
Au revoir.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.